Just like every first overall choice that there is, he's like, if you call, you call. Because he has leverage. Taking a page from Joe Burrow, my buddy Adam Schefter. How are you, Adam?
Hello there, Rich. How you doing?
What's going on, bud? How are you?
Doing great.
You
Getting
good?
ready for next week.
Yeah, buddy. We're going. What leverage does Joe Burrow have? What's he talking about, Adam? Let's get right into it. What in the world is he talking about with leverage here?
I guess the leverage would be feeling out the situation where basically you've got a situation where he could decide that I'm going to make life tough for Cincinnati if he wanted to do that, right? If he wanted to do that, if that was a route he decided to go. And so I guess it's interesting because there aren't many players. Like, you go where you're picked and where you're told to go. And he would have the option, the situation of, I guess, going Eli Manning, going John Elway on the Bengals if he doesn't like what he hears and he doesn't like what he sees and it goes a certain route, right? That would be his leverage. But I don't think he's ready to go nuclear yet. I think he's reserving the right to change his mind. Now let me say this to you. There are a couple of things to keep in mind.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to think of the exact scenario here, but first of all, his girlfriend's from Cincinnati. Zach Taylor's brothers played with, is it Joe Burrow's father? There's a connection between Zach Taylor's family and Joe Burrow's family. And so he's just not committing to say, okay, Bengals take me. I'm all good. I want to go to Cincinnati. I want to be. He may get there, and he may not. But I guess he's got the right to make up his mind about what he wants to do and not want to do, right? And I guess that's the leverage that you're looking for right now.
Is this a story? Are we just biding time between now and the first night of the first pick in Las Vegas, or is there some smoke here, do you think, Adam?
I think it's too early to say right now, Rich. I mean, we're going to wonder about it, and when you get statements like that, you'll wonder about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's going to develop into one or not. Let's put it this way. It bears watching. How about that? I mean, that's about the best I can tell you on February 19th.
Burrow Watch is on. Adam Schefter here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, then let's do some more quick hitters involving the Combine and Tua's hip, and he got the best possible news he could get, apparently, from his latest medical report, Armando Salguero, saying that there's some signs that maybe Justin Herbert would be the apple of the Dolphins' eye. I read that to say that the Lions might be holding the Dolphins up for the number 3 overall pick in a trade. I wonder what you're hearing or thinking about this whole scenario with Tua and the quarterbacks.
First of all, if the Dolphins liked Justin Herbert or Tua more than like Joe Burrow, would we really know that right now? Would we really know that? And so I'm skeptical of anything I hear at this time of the year. I think it's a lot of noise for the time being. When the teams haven't even gone to Indy, when the workouts haven't begun, when we're entering into the offseason. I just, the Dolphins have the leverage and the ammo to do what they want in this particular draft process, right? And so if there's a certain quarterback that they feel like they have, they can figure out a way to go get him. I don't know yet, and I don't know if they know yet, which guy that is at this point in time, and there'll be a lot of smoke and a lot of speculation. I think, Rich, and I'm not trying to avoid your questions.
Yes.
I think that we're looking for answers right now to a lot of questions that are really interesting and are going to be really interesting for the next few months. But it's hard to just say to you on February 19th,
right.
Oh, yes, Rich, Joe Burrow is going to hold out. He's going to demand, and yes, the Dolphins are going to be angling to move up to get Tua. Like, I just don't think it's that black and white on this day just yet. Like, where we can give you cut and dried answers. I wish I could. I can't.
No, I understand. I'm just trying to see if what the ear to the ground might come up with Adam Schefter here on the Rich Eisen Show. Where does things with Brady stand right now, as best you can tell, between Brady and the Patriots and the conversations that need to happen over the next 2 to 3 weeks?
Well, this is going to be the most interesting question of the offseason. And I will say this, if you'll allow me.
Please.
Last week you were kind enough to come on my podcast.
Yes, sir.
And this week Jeff Darlington came on my podcast, and Jeff Darlington is a lot more connected to that particular situation than I think a lot of people realize. And in talking with him yesterday, and my eyes were open to this. I mean, I always thought this was possible, but I got even more of a hint that it's more possible. Jeff Darlington basically, handicapped the Titans as the favorite right now, which I was like, whoa, okay. I knew that Tennessee was an option, but he made it out to be more of an option than I realized it to be. And in his mind, to rank the teams right now would be Tennessee, Las Vegas, and New England.
Huh.
And I thought that was and his explanation of things on the podcast was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so my takeaway from that was, I think we all need to pay a little bit more attention to Tennessee here than we thought. And Tennessee is more viable as a potential Tom Brady destination than we thought. And Tennessee, I expect to be in the mix. Las Vegas, I expect to be in the mix. I think the Chargers will try to be in the mix. I don't know if they'll be able to get it done. And then, of course, the question is, does he go back to New England? Now, the real interesting one on Tennessee is this. They have Ryan Tannehill.
Yep.
And if you franchise Ryan Tannehill, well, then it's very hard to go get Tom Brady. I don't think you can do that. But do you take the risk of not franchising a guy that played like a franchise quarterback last year and trying to get Tom Brady, running the risk that you could lose both? Or do you go ahead and franchise Tannehill and remove the Brady option off the table when it certainly sounds like it's a possibility?
And I'll leave the meat and potatoes on why the Titans are a favorite in Jeff Darlington's mind as a tease for people to go to the Adam Schefter podcast, because I know how this whole thing works, and I love and appreciate you, and I enjoyed being on the Adam Schefter podcast last week.
Thank you, Rich.
You're welcome. So, do we put Phillip in Indianapolis? Do we draw that line, or is Tampa an option because Phillip and the family now lives in Florida, in that area? What do you got for me on that front, Adam?
Well, I think there it is very easy to make the connection in Indianapolis. Okay, Frank Reich worked with Phillip Rivers on the Chargers. Nick Sirianni, the Colts offensive coordinator, who's very good, worked with Phillip Rivers on the Chargers. He knows the offense would fit right in. It would be a seamless transition. They have a team talented enough to win with just about anybody at quarterback. So, I think there's smoke there. Now, that doesn't mean Phillip Rivers winds up in Indianapolis, but I expect them to be interested. I expect him to be interested, and we'll see whether or not they can get a deal worked out.
All right, and then let me just knock a few rocks over on the Raiders front here in the few minutes I have with you left. Brady to the Raiders. What would that mean with Derek Carr? What are the financial ramifications of that, best you can tell off the top of your head, that makes it sound viable to you, potentially, Adam?
Well, I think it's such that if that's the decision you make, they can make it work with Derek Carr. Mm-hmm. And in an off-season, Rich, where we have, I think you would agree, the most intriguing off-season of quarterback movement that we've ever had.
Maybe so.
We're not paying a lot of close attention to Derek Carr and Cam Newton and some of these other guys who could factor in.
Jameis,
well, we all know his contract's up.
Right.
And I don't think it's a slam dunk that he's back in Tampa Bay by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
So what happens if he's not back in Tampa? Where's he going? Now, I'll just say I always remember John Gruden being a big Jameis Winston fan from our production meetings with him back when he was with ESPN. And so you wonder, would they have any interest in Jameis Winston? That would seem to make sense to me based on how he felt. But there's an awful lot of Raider quarterback talk. Just a lot of talk, right? That just gets your antenna up and makes you wonder, what is the future with Derek Carr there in Oakland or Las Vegas?
All right, last one for you. The collective bargaining agreement, 17 games being discussed. How real is it, and is it possible that the NFL and the Players Association do, in fact, hammer that out in time for a new league year in the next month? What are you hearing on that front, Adam?
Yeah, I believe there's a real chance of that happening, Rich. I believe that when the CBA gets done, I don't know how they'll do it. I don't know when they'll do it, but I believe that when the new CBA gets done, it'll be 17-game season. That's what I believe will be the case in the end. And you know the NFL very well. The NFL usually gets what it wants. And so the NFL wants 17 games. Yes. And so I expect the NFL to get 17 games. And if I had to bet, I would bet they hammer out that deal at some point in the next month. If they don't, obviously, it'll be a long wait, maybe until the following summer, a year from this summer. Mm-hmm. But again, I just go back to that statement. What the NFL wants, the NFL usually more often than not gets. The NFL wants the 17 games. It wants the deal done. And somehow I just think the NFL will push to get this done in the next month, and it will be a 17-game season.
And then as he goes out the door, Brockman, I want to bring this up to you, Adam. Brockman, my boy here yesterday, brought up the fact that if the 17-game schedule hits and you add another bye week, then the NFL gets what it's been looking for a long time, which is the Super Bowl on President's Day weekend and a national holiday the day after the Super Bowl. Brockman says the NFL should call the NBA and say, hey, this is what we're doing, and give them a heads up because it's going to screw over their All-Star game. Do you think the NFL does that, Adam?
Give the NBA a heads up or move the presidential time slot?
Yeah, just give the NBA a heads up just to let them know. You had to give them a common courtesy that this is what's going to happen. You think that'll happen?
I don't think the NFL cares about anybody else but itself. I think the NFL is going to do whatever the hell it damn wants, and everybody else has to adjust to the NFL. Right?
Yes, correct. That's what I told him yesterday, and he's like, what about the common courtesy?
A common courtesy, the common courtesy of an organization that will just clean out your office and send your belongings at a moment's notice, right? That was rich. But we won't make that personal.
Adam. I love you, Adam Schefter. You take care of yourself, brother. Okay? I love you.
I love you too. I'll see you this week.
See you in Indy. Here you go. There's Adam Schefter.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.